Much, Kristen. It is sure hot outside, and it's going to stay that way for a little longer. With temperatures averaging in the 90s, at least here in the metro, you need to be careful with staying outdoors for too long. Here with some information on heat illness and how you can protect yourself and your loved ones in the hot temps is Dr. Dwayne Ross with Blue Cross Blue Shield. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the importance about knowing about heat illness.
Sure.
What could it lead to? We're talking about heat stroke, and we're also talking about heat exhaustion. Those are two different things, right?
Right. It's kind of a spectrum of conditions. You get hot, you can develop heat rash, you can get cramps, you get heat exhaustion, and the ultimate thing is heat stroke, which is a medical emergency.
Okay, and what happens during a heat stroke?
With heat stroke, you've lost a lot of water, lost a lot of salt, you've got cramping, you can get confused. A person at that point no longer can regulate their temperature. They stop sweating, in fact. They get hot and dry, and that person is at extreme risk.
And what are the dangers there? Could it lead to death?
It can. In fact, for weather-related death, heat causes more death than other weather systems, tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, etc., combined.
And what do you think that is? Do you think people are they don't believe it's that hot outside and they just don't drink enough water?
I think people find themselves in situations, they go out, they're doing something, and they're too far away from home or from care, and they don't have enough water, they've exerted themselves too much, and once they're confused, they really don't know what to do. Right. They need someone there with them.
Okay, and I think what's interesting here is that we have a dry heat. So yes, it's 101 degrees, and it is hot, but it doesn't feel as hot as it would be in San Antonio, Texas.
Right.
So maybe people don't think about that. They don't think of how much water they haven't had to drink that day or the day prior.
Right. And you really should drink before you even go out.
Okay.
You should hydrate yourself before you go out. But once you're outside, you need to be drinking, if you're exerting yourself, about 16 ounces at least per hour.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot if you're exerting.
Okay. Okay. Do you think the average person does that?
No, not at all.
Definitely not.
Not at all.
And they should.
And you're right. The dry heat makes us feel like it's not as bad. But once you're above 95, our body isn't as good at regulating temperature.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about this during the break. I thought was very interesting is that babies, they can't regulate their body temperature as well.
Right.
Right.
From 0 to 4, children don't regulate their temperature quite as well as adults do. It's still developing.
Okay.
So we have to watch out for children.
So they don't sweat as much?
They don't sweat as much, and also as a smaller body, their brain isn't turning on the mechanism it needs to change temperature as easily. And
that's why it's so important, you know, especially we talk about this all the time. We hound about this all the time. Don't leave your kids in a hot car.
Right.
Because it could potentially lead to death, and that's why, because they can't regulate their body as well. You mentioned, you know, older people as well.
Right. Over 65 as well have some difficulties with regulating temperature. Also, people who are over 65 may be on multiple medications for chronic conditions, and those can affect your temperature as well. You should check with your doctor.
Okay. Quick tips on making sure that you are not going to, you know, this happened to you, rather, the heat illness.
Well, first of all, try not to go out in the middle of the heat if you can avoid it. If you are going to go out, make sure you bring enough water, make sure you go with someone or tell someone you're out. If you start to feel anything, a little too much heat, you're feeling some cramps, you're feeling overly exhausted, find a cool spot and rest and drink some water. Okay.
First signs that you maybe are leading toward heat exhaustion or heat stroke?
Excess fatigue, cramping, people may feel nauseated, which is a common one. A lot of people try to, especially athletes, try to tough through things like that. You really shouldn't.
Okay.
Just find a spot to cool off, let your body catch up.
Okay, listen to your body. Website we can find more information on real fast.
I would check the CDC for this.
Okay.
CDC has a very nice set of pages about heat.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, stay cool out there. We'll have a recap of this on our website, krqe.com. We'll be right back.